Hi, I'm Rosh from Energy Matters. Welcome to our podcast, Road to Zero, where we dive headfirst into all things renewable. Join us as we chat with industry experts, tech specialists, and some of your favorite TV and radio personalities asking the renewable energy questions that you want answers to. Our goal, a zero carbon future. Today, I am very happy to be joined by Jesse Clark, Hydro Tasmania's Executive General Manager for Assets and Infrastructure. Jesse, my title all of a sudden seems really inferior. How are you today?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Rosh. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much for joining me. Jesse, we had an amazing time just a few short weeks ago in Tassie when you gave me a tour of the Poatina hydro facility, which was absolutely incredible. Before we get to that, and just for anyone watching, this facility is going to be aired on television this week on Saturday at 4 p.m. on 9 Life. Also repeated on Sunday morning at 8 a.m. for all you early risers. But before we talk about this facility, because it is incredible, Jesse, I know my audience likes to know a little bit more about the person in front of the brand, I should say, in this scenario. So can you tell me a little bit more about yourself, your career to date, and what led you to Hydro Tasmania?
Yeah, absolutely. A Tasmanian, born here. I guess growing up was always a little bit interested in how things worked, how things went together. So that took me down the path of engineering. So I studied electrical engineering, started at Hydro Tasmania a bit over 21 years ago as a graduate engineer and been here ever since. So just love the place, the people, and the assets we get to play around with every day. So bounced around here through a bunch of different roles and carved out a career over the last 20 plus years.
I think it's awesome because I think there's a common theme running throughout my podcast, especially when I'm chatting to you guys from Hydro Tas. Whereas anyone listening or watching who isn't in our industry and is just literally, someone who's interested by renewable energy tech will be thinking, how can you guys be so excited about working as an engineer, on assets? But when you go to Tasmania and you see these assets, it's like literally being at Jurassic Park, but for renewable energy technology. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. And the fact that these assets are so old is incredible. We'll talk about that again in a second. Jesse, I've got a question that I know a few people want to, sort of know the answer to. I mean, what differentiates Hydro Tasmania from other energy generators out there, especially those who also retail electricity?
Yeah, thanks. I guess I do consider Tasmania, or Hydro Tasmania, a little bit special in this regard. Certainly, we're deeply rooted in renewable energy. Wind and solar will play such an important part in the future, but they are the new kids on the block really compared to Hydro Tas. We've been in generating renewable energy for over 110 years, so we're 111 years old this year. We've got plant hydro equipment of every shape and size across the state, over 110 years old, still running in some cases. But it's just, I guess it's a part of the fabric in Tasmania, spread across the state in different regions, and I guess it's quite exciting to be the custodians of this piece of kit for a period of its history and be able to hand it over to the next generation in the future.
It really has been passed from generation to generation. I mean, just like on that one point, 111 years old, right? So people have been talking about renewable energy technology mainstream probably for the last 20 years, if that, maybe 10 or 15 years. And they're thinking, oh, rooftop solar, okay, let's look at renewable energy technology. But to know that there's been hydroelectricity, renewable energy technology being created for over 100 years is absolutely mind-blowing for a start. And B, it's really annoying when you're, especially like us, who believe in carbon reduction and don't want to really see fossil fuels being burned to create all these excess carbon emissions. And we've had a solution this entire time. Now, I know it is, Tasmanian on the whole is a perfect sort of, I suppose, landmass for that. And has done incredibly well. And it did come out of demand. So obviously, I know that you guys needed to create electricity for Tasmanians. And now that goes through the Bass Strait into Victoria as well, which is awesome. Guys, before we get too much into this particular project, I just want you to see a clip. For those of you who are listening, I apologize. You can see the clip on our website, ngmatters.com.au. But for those of you watching, This is what's coming up this Saturday on Energy Matters at 4 p.m. on Nine Live. I think what really surprises me the most is the misconception that, really renewable energy only started with rooftop, right? So if you think about it, 2005, 2000, maybe onwards, everyone starts to slowly adopt renewable energy. And now, of course, we're talking about net zero, 100% renewable. But this particular facility was created 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a great misconception to call out, solar, rooftops, etc., and even wind. It's a great part of decarbonising the national market and creating more renewable energy in the system. But hydro has been around for a long time. Hydro Tasmania has been producing renewable energy for over 110 years now. So it's certainly been around for a lot longer than most people realise.
So Jesse, that was absolutely awesome. I think people would have just got a very small smidgen of what to expect in this week's episode. Firstly, you were great on camera. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, look, it was a bit of fun. It's always great. Just one thing we really do love is showing off our assets and being able to engage people with what we do here and the beauty of these long-running assets.
And it really is educational as well. I mean, for any kids watching, there is some educational stuff on the Hydro Tasmania website that I would recommend you have a look at. But really, when you watch these segments and actually go for the tour and look at the whole asset behind the scenes, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Jesse, we don't want to give too much away, but can you give us a quick high level as to what we can expect to see on this week's episode?
Yeah, look, Rosh, on the episode, we take a nice walking tour through Poatina Power Station, so a 360 megawatt hydro generation station, six turbines there, and we get to have a sneak peek of one of them undergoing a major refurbishment, so giving a new one a real new life after sort of 60 or so years in service.
Which is incredible, and I think the segment we put together does it justice. It's actually really, really well edited. So good on you, Sean, back in our production editing office. But really, when you consider that power station was first commissioned in 1967?
Yeah, through the construction and coming into service through the mid 1960s. So it's been around for a while now.
That's absolutely amazing. Can you tell me a little bit more about that facility? I mean, where does it fit in the crutches of things around Tasmania amongst all the other facilities, and what makes it unique compared to the other ones?
Yeah, look, Poatina, it's our second biggest hydro power station, so 360 megawatts, so a lot of generation out of there. One of the really great things about Poatina is it's got the Great Lake upstream supporting it, so the Great Lake and Arthur's Lake, which are these two big, sizable storages. So that really allows us to store water, and be able to play in the energy market over multiple years. Some of our other stations are much smaller, run of the rivers, so they can't hold back as much water. But the Great Lake, in particular, and through Poatina, along with Gordon, are these two big powerhouses for us in Tasmania that operates, really does the heavy lifting in the summer when rainfall isn't as strong, and sort of thing, to really keep the renewable energy being generated, going to homes and industry.
Which is absolutely amazing when you think about it. I mean, to think that lake literally is like a supersized storage facility. Like, it's almost, because you can literally turn on and off the power station whenever you like, right? Of course, there's going to be a very small amount of time that has to go past before it completely stops. But you literally have access to turn on and off electricity or electricity source at your free will. I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, I guess that's right. So we've got a really unique system across the state of Tasmania that balances up those really, the stations that really do the heavy running in winter, so we can store water up on these other stations such as Poatina, and really manage the demand and meeting the needs of Tasmania, and then at the right time exporting into the broader national market across Bassley. So yes, it's really a nice synergy across the weather patterns and the storages to be able to hit the right periods of running.
It really does complement renewable energy on the whole. I mean, firstly, it's a 24/7 facility. Secondly, anyone who has got rooftop solar, if there are wind farms elsewhere, they supply electricity, obviously, when the sun's shining or when the wind's blowing. But to know that you've actually then got access to a 24/7 facility that can actually balance the load, as you said, at different times of the day or over the year is really, really reassuring, especially if you're a Tasmanian. So really, I'm super envious. I mean, I'm based in the Gold Coast in Queensland, and we had a cyclone recently which took out everything. And obviously, unfortunately, that would affect anyone who's connected to a grid of some means. But really, I think one of the questions that I know, people would be curious to know, and I think you've already answered it. With that hydro facility and all of Hydro Tasmania's assets, the goal clearly is the same as it was when they're first commissioned, which is to power Tasmania first, and then if there's any surplus electricity in that moment, that then goes through the Bass Strait to Victoria by them. Is that right?
Yeah, that's essentially right. So certainly making sure that we're generating Tasmania, major industrials right through to the mums and dads, small businesses. So there's a lot of energy consumed here. But with Basslink, we've got the ability to import and export, and hopefully in the future there'll be further interconnection across Bass Strait so that we can do more of that. And I guess this is the brilliance and where we really see hydro generation be able to play a key part in decarbonising the national market and really that renewable energy push. We don't want to compete with wind and solar. We want to be there to complement it. So on days when there's lots of wind or lots of solar in the market, we can shut down, store that water, hold it back. And then when there's that shortfall of wind and solar, then we can provide that firming and make sure that we maintain a really strong and reliable network for everyone to enjoy. So we really see this as a complementary, alignment going forward.
And this is once again, and one of the things I'm really getting with this whole, both doing so much work now with Momentum Energy and of course yourselves, Hydro Tasmania, obviously own Momentum Energy, they're the retailer, so they're the customer face, I suppose, between yourselves and the end user. But really, Momentum and yourselves obviously have such an amazing commitment to collaboration. And even with what you just said just now, I mean, yes, you guys have been producing, renewable energy for over 100 years, so you're well ahead of the game. You kind of knew what was happening into the Industrial Revolution and kind of thought, you know what, let's create an energy source that's renewable. I don't necessarily if that's the motivation 100 years ago. I think it's more, we need electricity. Let's use what we have available to us. And at the same token, over time, the fact you are actually collaborating on other projects, through Accenture, which, you're a consulting arm, but really looking at, for example, Flinders Island that we're featuring another time, that's got solar power and wind, so it shows that Hydro Tasmania, yes, hydro is your core, but alongside that, you kind of play really well with other renewable energy technologies such as wind and solar. Why is the ethos of Hydro Tasmania so collaborative and has such a strong commitment to us achieving net zero and B, coming up with solutions to obviously assist the greater good?
Yeah, I think it's naturally in our DNA, using the landscape in Tasmania to help us build the assets we've got across the state. That's served us well over a long time. That really, one of our core values is finding a way, but then taking that forward into problem solving, like you say, King and Flinders Island, and trying to remove diesel consumption and use that combination of wind and solar, and even into Momentum, like you say, while Momentum's a bit newer for us, I guess what we see is this ability to connect in and drive, the next wave of renewable energy and really connect in with right through to customers and grow the understanding and commitment to decarbonising them and making, I guess, the world a better place.
No, good man. Well, look, it certainly was, it took my breath away, and I have to be honest, and I think you really get the impact in when we film the segments, especially when you and I were walking and you showed me through the facility and how those sort of turbines span. And I won't give too much away because I don't want to take away from the segment this week. But the fact that this A facility is over 6 years, or about 60 years old, B, I mean, and I don't know how they managed to make that 60 years ago, I mean, holy crap. I mean, the level of engineering and, the technology available to them was nowhere near what we have today. So, I just thought, it blows my mind how they managed to achieve it. But I think, secondly, the fact that those facilities are literally been designed to work, I wouldn't say forever, but for a significant amount of time, 60 years and still going strong. What is is there a lifespan associated with any one facility, or is it, how's that look?
Yeah, we certainly like to think of things here as sort of being, ongoing and certainly intergenerational. So it's a long time span we're talking about. We need to go in and do regular maintenance and routines for sure. But, our turbines, like we're saying, 40, 50, 60 years is quite common. And then a midlife refurbishment or a refresh, and we go again. I guess some of the lifespan, if we treat them well, comes down to, keeping our coatings. You'll see the penstock in some of looking after that equipment, keeping the paint coating so corrosion's minimised, and it can literally last forever. It's probably down to some of the concrete and the wear and tear on that. But again, with good maintenance and a lot of love and attention, then these things are a long run asset, which is great.
Which is absolutely amazing, and you really can sense that passion in the way that you talk, as well as the way you sort of, when you gave us the tour, how you presented what we were seeing. It's absolutely awesome, and it really does, move you, to actually just see how much you guys really love the technology available to you, but also know the huge difference you're making. I mean, Jesse, this is more of a personal question, but I mean, why do you think it's important for people to better understand energy and how they can make a difference?
Yeah, I guess, one of the brilliant things I get to do here every day working for Hydro Tas is, feel like we're making a real contribution towards climate change and the fight for renewable energy being in the market. I think it's important to be telling these stories and talking about it, because we need everyone to connect into the why and understand that all these small things can make a difference, and collectively they can make a big picture. The rooftop solar, the wind coming online, etc., complemented with the right, some batteries, and certainly hydropower can make a really big difference in seeing the decarbonising of the national market and ultimately tackling climate change in a material way. And we can all play a part of that.
No, that's amazing. And it really, if anyone watching or listening, I mean, it really is one of those ones where, I mean, don't get me wrong, as soon as I saw that facility, I was like, can I have one of those in my back garden? But clearly not. But really, everyone can make small changes and small additions to their day-to-day, right? No matter how small it is, by recycling, reusing packaging or reusing bottles, to just, not jumping in your car, but, getting public transport somewhere. There's so many little things you can do to reduce your carbon footprint, which makes a massive difference. And there's generally like a rule of, when you reduce your carbon footprint, you're saving money. So it kind of goes hand in hand, right? So there's 1,000,001 things anyone can do, which is the purpose of the TV show. Jesse, before I let you go, is there anything new and in the pipeline for Poatina and for Hydro Tasmania that you can reveal on this call?
Look, I think Poatina, it's getting a birthday on one of the turbines now. We'll go from there into the next and another. So 3 new turbines over the next piece, and a bunch of timely, upgrade works ready to set it up for its next piece of its life cycle. There's that, but in the background, I guess more broadly with Hydro Tasmania, we're certainly looking at a couple of big projects. Tarraleah and a new Tarraleah Power Station that'll be much more flexible and dynamic in the market, and also venturing into some ideas around pumped hydro and what more contribution that could make into a broader NEM and further journey. So I think they're 2 big, exciting projects for us that are really, the cherry on top of what we already have here. And I think you might get to see some of those projects come to life.
Absolutely incredible. Well, watch this space for season 2, guys, because I certainly want to be going back to Tasmania and hopefully touring those facilities. Jesse, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. You're an absolute legend.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks, mate. So, guys, to see the Poatina Power Station, Tune in this week to Energy Matters on 9 Life at 4 p.m. It's going to be an absolute cracking episode. Believe me, you will not be gutted or disappointed when you see what's in store for you. The facility is not only an incredible feat of engineering, but just the scenery alone is absolutely stunning. So you're not going to want to miss it. For anyone who's been inspired on this call and just decided to themselves, you know what, I haven't actually got renewable energy technologies yet. I really wish I could install solar power or even add battery storage to my existing solar system so I can be part of the solution. It's never too late. Jump onto our website, energymatters.com.au/free solar quotes. Submit you an inquiry for whatever you want, be it energy efficiency products, battery storage, more solar panels, or a brand new solar system for the first time. And we'll partner you up with up to 3 local installers to give you a quote. You can check out the different types of technology and then make your choice from on how you move forward. Aside from that, thank you so much for watching again today. Tune in this Saturday, 4 p.m. on 9 Life. It repeats again on Sunday at 8 a.m. and a couple other times throughout the week, just in case you miss it. If you do miss it, just jump onto our website, and we have pages and pages of information, and the segments are released as the show goes on air, so you can actually catch up and see all the different segments that you missed, and just be inspired by what's possible and how you can reduce your carbon footprint and achieve net zero for your own home. Other than that, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you next time. All the best.